Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today. We're going to start off talking about something that is near and dear to Gavin's heart.
What is it?
Soccer.
Oh, I do like it.
Yeah, and I will be really curious about Betty's take on this as well, because we are talking about more specifically women's soccer. Gavin, have you ever been to a women's soccer game? That tells me everything I need to know right there.
Yeah, no, I know. But yeah, the prevalence of professional women's soccer in America, very low.
Because regular, like men's soccer, is struggles to find its own place even.
I don't personally love going to like MLS games. Like we have a team here in town.
And you don't go.
And I've gone to 2 games. I don't walk away having fun. I love soccer. I played it for over a decade. I think it can be quite boring to watch.
Soccer was a fun sport to play. Yes. I loved playing soccer, but
you're out there.
No, my dad could never understand why I didn't like watching it with him. And my dad used to coach it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, okay. And I like hockey. I like hockey better than soccer.
Same.
But hockey still can even be a little like, okay, I'll watch the highlights.
Oh, sure. I tried to get into like the Premier League. Basically, you're like the best of the best of soccer in this world. And even then, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And so many of the games are so early in the morning. And I'm just like, this just doesn't strike me as much fun as these other sports. So.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the wage disparity between women's and men's soccer. And so they had set up this it was participation from different money organizations for FIFA, for the World Cup soccer for the ladies, and that the 732 players that are playing in the World Cup, which, by the way, the women do better in the World Cup than our men's do. Yeah, like they win, and our guys struggle. So this is not taking anything away from their skill set, but they're each going to be paid $30,000, and the winning team, each player gets $270. So that's not too shabby.
No.
But that is a big increase over the years of what they have been making. Like somebody said, like some of the girls make $14,000 a year or whatever playing soccer. And it's a season, it's not all year, but they want it to be a living wage that they can have a professional sport and make money off of. And I think they should, but the problem is the math. And Betty, you're not a feminist. Like you are.
I mean, I not in the negative sense. No, like I do believe that women have just as much of a right to things like they're
100%,
as men,
absolutely.
and I believe that we are capable. But going beyond that, I don't know about that.
Right, like you're not militant about things, and this is my point. This is what I'm curious about, because if women bring in less to the games, should they be equally compensated to the men? Like their sport is not generating as much money, but so should they just be compensated?
Did they bring in a lot of money though for like at the end when y'all were talking about the women?
No.
I mean, like, yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think there's a very simple answer of no to people being paid the same amount of money. Like, I don't think that if you have one company that brings in, like $200 million a year, and then another that brings in, like
Well, this is the math kind of on it. Like, say you had a sport that brought in $600 million as a guy sport, and your salaries are $300 million. Okay, so there you go. You're operating in the black now. You still have $300 million. If you do the numbers on the percentage, basically, of what men's sports to women's sports bring in, so the equitable percentage would be if the women's sport brought in $200 million, okay, to the men's $600 million. That's kind of like what the disparity would be. But you want to pay the players $300 million.
You can't.
You're operating at a loss. Your business is operating at a loss, and so you're losing $100 million. You can't do that. They should have a fair wage for what they. I think the fairer way to do it is to say, okay, what do men's sports bring in? What are their salaries, a percentage of what they bring in? So if you say all the men's salaries together average out to 63% of what we bring in revenue-wise, I think that's fair to say, okay, if women's sports make less money, but you have the same percentage that they're making, yes, they're going to make less money than the men are, but it's an equal percentage to what they're bringing in. That seems equitable to me.
Yeah, I want to know, at least personally, the people who on let's say the women's soccer side of things who complain about the wage gap, who complain about it just because they are whining and want the money, as opposed to the people who know, it's hard because in my brain I'm like, it's kind of obvious that the money's not being brought in,
right?
Therefore, you shouldn't get what these guys get.
Do the men have a problem with this, like the soccer men?
That's a good question.
It is actually.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I've heard. Like, it's kind of like unions when one union goes out, like the Writers Guild goes out, and now the Screen Actors Guild, and sometimes unions will strike in solidarity. I don't think you would have any of these guys saying that they shouldn't be paid, but I think they would be more along the lines of it should be equal compensation based on what's being brought in.
I think
because that's just business.
Yeah.
But I think that they should be treated. This was one of the things too, like in the World Cup, like the girls' gym that they had to work out, the equipment was pathetic. And it's like, okay, like even that up. Give them the same tools to do their job. And that's totally right. That's totally fair.
But it's also ties back to there in professional sports, there are people who like on a national scale, like the U.S. and the World Cup and the Olympics, pour the same resources. But there are people out there who literally own these teams, and they themselves get to choose what these women get. It's not this league-wide decision as to what women get resources to per se. It's about if you're gonna want your team to have more resources, call out the owner of a team to take better care of their team, because the owners are millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah, I don't. It's kind of like too, like you've got Ronaldo and I only know a couple soccer players by name, Messi and Ronaldo and stuff like that, but they make millions of dollars, like the highest paid guys. It would almost be like saying, well, then to be fair, you need to pay the third string goalie the same as you're paying Messi, which that's not equitable either. Wow. And because if you're generating, sports is all about money. Sports, that's the bottom line. Is like, why do we do these things? Because you're making money at it, And so, if your sport was generating money, trust me, they're going to, you're going to make more because you can command more if you're making more.
Fun fact about Ronaldo: the salary he moved over to this Middle Eastern league, and the salary that he's getting paid is. Per year, he's getting paid $213 million a year.
That's so
now,
great.
That's probably some oil money. Some corrupt money.
Well, that's what the golf league had the problem with the Live Golf. Yeah, the human rights things from the UAE, people had a problem with, and so golfers going over and playing that, they were like, well, you're supporting these atrocities, and all the golfers are justifying. They're like, well, they're trying to get better. I do love that. That's a tough one. That is a tough one, but they're making bank on it.
That's probably more money than the entirety of women's soccer in our country is worth.
Well, the funny thing was the women's soccer, I did a little research. It went up to $30 million as the prize fund from FIFA. It went up to $110 million, and it had only been $30 million like a couple years ago. So it's good. Moving up. It's 3 times.
That's great.
So it is moving up, but they're still not there yet, but they are making a big deal of it this time. So I was just curious. Lady Rock, what do you got?
A new movie based on Willy Wonka, it's called Wonka, is set to hit theaters this December. I saw the trailer and it looked pretty good.
Who's playing? Okay,
see it.
Did you see the Tim Burton one with Johnny Depp?
Oof.
Super creepy, super
but it's
disturbing.
Tim
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. And even the first one, the original one, like Gene Wilder as Wonka, it's a creepy dude. So do you know who's playing Wonka in this one?
Some young kid.
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
He's really in right now. He was a part of they had the Dune movies that just came out.
Oh, yeah. They did Dune 2.
That's coming out.
Why would you do Dune 2? Dune 1 didn't do well.
I think it did do well.
Did it? No.
I didn't enjoy it.
I didn't see it.
I bet it did well.
I didn't think it had done well. Oh, anyway.
Well, anyways, it's set to hit theaters this December, and already it's causing a stir with certain group of people based on what they can see from the trailer alone.
Okay.
Oh, I'm surprised you're handling that so well.
I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
You know what? This is new Wally for 5 minutes, 5 seconds. Hearing some of the information before I make an opinion.
Oh, okay. Dylan Postl. He is a little person actor in Hollywood.
Okay.
Don't get mad at me because that's how they have it in the article.
Okay, and that's the correct term now. You,
Okay.
like dwarf is actually not as good as it once was. It once was acceptable, and then little person, and I'm sure there's another new, even more politically correct term, but we'll go with little person.
Well, Dylan Postl, he's a little person actor in Hollywood, was the one to vocalize the frustration he and other actors in his situation are feeling when in the trailer you can see the actor playing an Oompa Loompa in the Wonka film is not a little person in real life, but well-known actor Hugh Grant. Okay, so they had made him small.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be so
to make
funny.
it look like an Oompa Loompa
Right.
through CGI.
CGI'd him, yeah, because
But-
he's a great actor.
Right, but this was Dylan's point.
Roles in Hollywood in general are very hard for people of my community to get, besides the elf and the leprechaun and this and that. So why are they being taken from my community?
Okay, and I get his frustration with that. I actually do get that. But they're going to do it all CGI because you got to have so many. So that opens your ability to have whatever great actor you wanted.
But it costs more.
Right, but the first one, the first version of this, they had little people. If you look at, what was it? Over the Rainbow,
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. They were all little people, that they hired for that. For the most part, there were some kids and stuff too, but for the most part, it was little people. So I get where he's coming from. Like, well, hey, come on, man! Like, throw us a bone here. If you need little people for a thing because they're Oompa Loompas, let us have some roles. And they're probably going to still do that. But like Hugh Grant will probably be one of the main ones, But it's not like you just canceled them all, right? I don't think.
Yeah, but this is the same fight that, there's people that have disabilities, like they're in a wheelchair and they want to be an actor and they say they give the role to someone who isn't in a wheelchair.
That was what was crazy about Superstore. I watched Superstore and the character Garrett. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. They hired a guy that's in a wheelchair to play it, and he's a great actor. And then you come to find out, oh, he's just a great actor. And he wasn't in a wheelchair. So I could see people being bent a little bit about that. If you're going to make it a plot point, like make it part of the story and have it real.
Well, you say you get that. You get both of these.
I do.
It's the same fight, though, that the LGBTQ community is fighting for when they're like, you have a gay or a lesbian character in a film and you didn't hire an actual one.
Right.
That's not fair.
I would understand that, too. Like, okay, fine, you do that. I mean, I would argue that we don't need the representation like they want. I saw this thing the other day. This is going to get me off on a rant.
Where's your bed?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm going to move
Gavin
on.
can do it for you.
Oh, I have a medical condition, all right. It's called caring too much, and it's incurable.
It's incurable.
You can't cure it.
Somebody I actually like believe this too. They're like the LGBT community.
It's hard to say.
Okay,
It's
take
so
a breath.
hard to
Take a
say.
breath.
AI is now in there too and stuff like that, and they're like they are the most narcissistic, needy group of people on the planet, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of get that because you constantly have to be reaffirmed, you have to be reassured, you have to have your own month that celebrates you. I'm like, yeah, I kind of understand where they're coming from. You can't just live; you have to be celebrated now. It's not enough to just go, okay, you got the rights that you wanted, you live your life. No one's even looking at you cross-eyed anymore because our country's become like this. And then it's like, oh, but now if you don't celebrate all that I am and embrace every part of it, then you're a hater. And it's like that part like starts to drive me nuts. But this goes along the lines of what you're saying with this story. The new Snow White, again, they've shown trailers and there's all these people talking about on TikTok. I'm trying to withhold my judgment till I actually hear it and actually see more from the company.
What?
I am trying to because it seems so, because this is why it seems so crazy. So the new Snow White, they have her being played by a Spanish girl. The whole idea of Snow White was her skin was white as snow, and she has a Prince Charming. They've taken the prince out of the thing because she's a strong, independent woman. The 7 dwarves are they're not called dwarves. They're not called little people. They're actually all full-size people, with the exception of one, because they've come so full circle. They don't want to demean the little people, but then they take roles away from them. Like, that's how woke woke you are is you actually just tried to like be so politically correct. You took a whole segment of people like this guy Dylan's talking about and went, "Oh, we're not going to celebrate you."
Sounds like you're getting worked up.
I
and you're
know,
going
right?
To wait.
It kills me. I know.
It may not even be true.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. But there's enough people that have been talking about it, and you have to watch your sources. And because I don't want to ever go off completely half-cocked, a little bit, but not completely.
when was that started?
But I'm like, because the picture they show of the 7 dwarfs, able-bodied people, like. The costumes are so bad that it's like, that can't be from Disney. Like, that has to be, somebody has put that as a representation of what it, like, it just looks so bad. But again, it's the political correctness of Hollywood that is going to go nuts. And again, it's all one-sided. It only goes one direction. That I think is my biggest problem with it. So you can have a Hispanic lady play Snow White and not bat an eye, or you have to be upset. You can't be upset about that. But if somebody like my daughter, a white girl, can't go play Tiana, you just, what are you doing? You're appropriating our culture. Well, I thought everything was no culture. I thought we had no culture. We're all even here, right? That should go both ways at that point, but it doesn't. And that's the problem with systemic racism, is that it doesn't go both ways. And what happens is it swings too far to one side, and before you know it, you're out of balance. And what are you doing? You're actually deepening the roots of racism, and that is a problem. So there you go.
Oh, I have a medical condition, all right. It's called caring too much, and it's incurable!
I'm going to get you on another rant.
No, don't, please.
Yes,
because I've still got one more on this.
No, because this is one I actually want to get you started on. Okay.
Go.
Jerry O'Connell, one of your favorites.
These are fine. This is fine. That's not real.
Jerry O'Connell.
Oh, it's real for me.
Is an American hero.
We knew that.
We all should thank him for who he is as a person.
He is a tool shed.
That's my favorite.
Jerry O'Connell is an amateur first responder.
No, he is not.
Yes,
I'm an amateur first responder.
No, Jerry O'Connell is. And this is why. Thanks to his quick thinking, he saw a police officer, a bunch of them, trying to put out a fire.
No, they didn't need him.
Involving a food truck in a nearby field in California.
Didn't need him.
And you know when a spark... Let me finish.
Where
You know when a spark...
Where were the firefighters?
A spark starts, they can light up. I mean, people can lose their homes.
Yeah.
They can be homeless. He took it upon himself. Jerry O'Connell himself got out of his Jaguar, got out of his Lexus.
The Bentley.
I don't know, whatever his $1 million can afford.
He drives a Prius.
He took it upon himself to move the gas can that was near the truck, and it didn't stop there. He also, without being asked, climbed a fence to grab a fire extinguisher. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what an amateur first responder is.
Cameras rolling? Or is this just like...
No, it's just he doesn't need people's attention because he is a true hero. Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah.
Some heroes
Not all
are
heroes
just
are
called
funny either.
Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah. Okay. So there are already police on the scene. They don't need his help. They don't need his help at all. Seriously.
Oh. Do you want to play it?
Oh, I have a medical condition, all right. It's called caring too much, and it's incurable!
Okay, so they did not need his help. It wasn't like the time that the person on the plane, the flight attendant on the plane that asked me to hold the oxygen bottle.
She didn't ask you
She did.
to.
She asked me to hold the oxygen bottle. You were not there. That is amateur first responder. Like, I was asked and I stepped in.
You literally did nothing. They didn't even want your help.
That lady was like, I have never seen anyone hold an oxygen bottle that still before on a plane. It is called an oxygen bottle.
Oxygen tank.
No, they call them bottles on planes. Yeah, look it up. It's an oxygen bottle.
I will look it up.
Yeah.
I don't believe
they can be called oxygen tanks as well. They can be called both. If you talk to a firefighter, they will say oxygen bottle. I need another bottle. I think. So Jerry O'Connell, completely ancillary to this story. Now,
not really, but
this is where I am. I'm a little vexed. If he truly is an amateur first responder and he has been through the training, then
please explain the training.
The training is you've watched enough shows about medicine.
He's probably been in those shows about medicine.
You're not helping over there. Yeah, you're not helping, Gavin. Then I have a code that I have to abide by where we support each other as amateur first responders. But I have never seen him at a meeting. I have never seen him
He probably
online.
doesn't have the time because so many people are thanking him for saving their lives.
I don't know. He's never been in our Facebook group.
Personally, I think Gavin and I should start a GoFundMe for him.
Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah, because I mean, he's always giving back, and he never wants the attention from it. He's just a good person.
I think it's more about the fact that he doesn't claim amateur first responder.
No.
He gets called it, whereas you claim it and yet don't get called
Well,
it.
I coined it. There's a difference between someone claiming it. Now, anyone else that says it, like Jerry O'Connell,
Have you
is
climbed
claiming
a fence and grabbed a fire extinguisher?
I've done more than that. Like I've actually put out a fire before in a radio studio. I did not start it.
You did start it.
No, the lady in the studio started it, and she
and
called.
you almost got fired.
I know, but I you know what? I'll take one for the team. Like that's what you do as an amateur first responder.
Do you think Jerry O'Connell, the police people, were like, "No, please stop, sir. Do not do this. You're making this situation worse."
I
do think so. Yeah, I do think so.
You get yourself hurt, sir.
I think they probably said, like, as much as this kills me, hey, do you know Ryan Seacrest? Could you send him here? We'd rather him be here helping us out.
Do you think Ryan Seacrest, if he had saw this, would he have jumped out of his Lexus?
No, absolutely not.
Tesla?
He would have been so scared.
Probably started the fire.
And he would have been afraid that his bronzer would have gone up in flames.
It's bronzer.
I personally want to take a moment to say, Jerry O'Connell, thank you.
I wish.
Thank you for what I'm not done. Thank you for what you do for America.
No.
Thank you for being the person that doesn't want the attention, but instead puts others before yourself.
Can I just tell you this?
Sounds like you're going to have to tell me
in
whether I want
all
to.
seriousness, assuming he's there, I hope that the Lord hears my prayer. Not assuming God's there, but let me finish. I hope that he forever puts Jerry O'Connell next to you in eternity. Because he will annoy the snot out of
What
you.
does he do that's so annoying? I mean,
He is him. Like that is
This
it.
is one I don't understand. I don't see
so
him
over the top.
Have you
don't see
ever
him
heard
do
where some
things.
people say, like, the person that annoys you the most, they annoy you because you have so much in common?
I get that because I've told you so many times, you and I are the same person. And you're like, no, we're not. And I'm like, we are.
Does that mean that you and Jerry O'Connell are the same
As much as
person?
I hate to admit it, that is a possibility.
Besides, like, the height.
Yeah, that is a possibility. Like maybe I have O'Connell-esque tendencies to be dramatic. I don't know. Okay, well, for the record, I am tired. I have ranted myself out, and so I'm tuckered out.
Is that
so
possible?
It is. It is. I'm tired right
amateur
now. So
ranter today.
can we do?
Birthdays?
Please.
I don't have any birthdays.
Oh, that was easy.
Keep it.
But if you have a birthday that you would like to get a shout out for, text shout out to
that's what it is.
91979. That's shout out to 91979. And be sure to ask us a question because we love to answer your questions. We do have one from Nathan and Carrie.
Okay.
What is the most repulsive
Betty.
odor
Betty.
you've encountered?
Betty.
And what were the circumstances?
Every day. Yeah. Oh, I do know mine. It was after Hurricane Katrina. I went down, again, amateur first responder stuff, down there to help out, like not being paid. I went down with my church to work down in Louisiana. Oh, glory. The amount of smell down there of things that had rotted, like in refrigerators, and we were clearing people's houses and stuff. It was, I mean, I remember being in this one house, knee deep in water, trying to float things out. It was disgusting. And the stench, I remember throwing up, gagging and throwing up and still just continuing to work in it. But you just had to get through that. Mm-hmm. That was the absolute worst.
That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad.
I would say my worst was in my first apartment. We had been there for probably a couple months and started noticing that the kitchen sink was backing up, like the water wasn't going down. And we had a disposal. So on a whim, I was like, well, I'm just going to flip the disposal on. We shouldn't have to because we haven't put any food down there. I flipped the disposal on, and whatever was stuck in there shot up from the other side of the sink.
Oh, no.
And it hit the cabinet from the bottom.
That's gross.
Whatever had been in there sitting for a while had been rotting for a while.
Yeah.
Stinks.
And it was like sewage had come up from it. It was disgusting. Not only that, but now you have to clean it up.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the most disgusting thing ever.
Ew.
My wife, if she was here, would tell a story of walking into our bathroom in our bedroom the other day as I was walking out, and she's like, nope, not going in there. And then she just looks at me, she goes, like, would it kill you to spray?
Where's the poopery?
I know. I'm like, I kind of just did. Sorry, that was gross. All right, Gavin, what about yours?
I think it was just like second grade, third grade when I was younger, and the school was across the street from a dog food plant. And every once in a while, I guess, when they would just light off the fume and push out the excess, whatever stanky, gas or whatever, like you would walk outside of that, and it's like you had to get to the car, and then you had to get to the car and blast the AC and just try to forget the smell. Like I remember, like we're talking about like 20 years ago. Like I just
still remember
it's still
it.
Right there in my nose right now.
I
so
lived
bad.
in Georgia, in Cumming, Georgia, and they had a Tyson chicken plant there for processing. And so we lived away from it, but when we would go visit people that lived near it, like my brother-in-law lives near it, and he lives in a really nice neighborhood, but on certain days you get the whiff, and it is so bad. But then I hadn't been back in a while, and they just built all these high-end condo like apartment things literally across a 2-lane road from it. And I'm like, these people are going to pay a grip of cash to live in these places because they're beautiful, and they're right next to the Tyson chicken plant, and it is so bad. So you got this really beautiful deck you want to go sit out on. Not on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I wouldn't.
Yeah. That's kind of like those apartments where I've gone to, and there's like the certain ones that are right over there by the dumpster, and I would think, I would never want to live there.
Exactly.
Like, never want to be right by the dumpster.
All right. Well,
on that wonderful note,
excuse me, sorry.
Jerry O'Connell,
he worked himself out.
You, sir, are a true American hero.
I swear, if you guys name the podcast Jerry O'Connell, I will lose my mind.
Oh,
we'll come up with something.
It's
better.
thank you, Jerry O'Connell.
Yes.
So.
Perfect, Gavin. Perfect. Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the compassion banner at wayfm.com.